Drishti's Webinar Series. Welcome to those of you who have joined us on the Zoom app and those who are watching us live from YouTube. I am Rabmeet Kaur and I am joined by Pooja Dwivedi. Both of us will be moderating the session today. And before we start, I would like to introduce our panelist. All of you know him. His name is Dr. Vikas Divyakirti. Sir is the Managing Director of Drishti IAS and also an ex-civil servant, also a renowned educationist. And before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for such a wonderful response to our webinar series. It is beyond what any one of us at Drishti had anticipated. We had a close to 1 lakh registrations of Hindi and English combined, and because of which we had to ultimately divide our audience between the YouTube and the Zoom app. So thank you everyone, and on to Pooja.
So we have received close to 20,000 questions and we have divided them into different categories and have chosen one representative question for Sir to answer. So as you all know, the title of this entire webinar, today's webinar, is how to begin the preparation for civil services examination. And Sir will answer your queries one by one. We will try to cover all the queries in this webinar, but in case we are unable to cover the questions, we will cover them in the next webinar. So for some very specific queries, the participants will get a chance to ask the question to Sir directly. So now I would like to welcome Dr. Vikas Divyakirti, sir. Very warm welcome, sir.
Hello, Pooja. Thank you. Thank you, Rabmeet.
Welcome, sir.
So are we ready to start the webinar? Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Sure. So I think we can start the webinar with the question and answer sessions. Okay. And I should also welcome all the participants. Sorry, I could not see on the screen all the participants. Now I'm able to see them. So thanks to all of you for participating in this webinar. And this is in fact something to make easier for me as well. A lot of students do ask a lot of questions when they meet, sometimes in the classes, sometimes otherwise. So I thought it's generally not possible to answer all the questions through videos on YouTube. So better to have one-to-one interaction to the extent possible and answer all the questions you have in your mind about the preparation. So this is the first webinar of the series we are planning. And if we are not able to answer all your questions, we will definitely come up with some other webinars. And our team is working very hard, as you'll be seeing during this webinar. So once again, welcome to all of you, and let us start discussions about the topics which we are supposed to today.
Right. So the first question is that when you thought of starting this webinar series, what was the vision behind initiating Drishti Webinar Series?
As I mentioned briefly, that we have a lot of students who have innumerous queries about this exam, because a lot of mysticism has always been there about this exam, starting from how to start, when to start, which options should be taken, how many hours we should study, what should be the sources of material we should study or refer to, which websites to be seen, and a lot of other things. So during last 1.5 years or 1.25 years, since the time the lockdown, we have not been able to go into the classes. It has not been possible to answer all the questions of the students. And during this time through YouTube, I have found that many of the queries which we never thought about have come up through the YouTube comments. So earlier I used to believe that webinar is not a good platform to answer all the questions, but having some experiences of webinars in the recent past, I have started believing that webinar is a good platform to answer the queries, especially those students who would probably never be able to come to Delhi to meet us. Some of them are living in villages, some of them are living in remote places. And I have come to know that at least few hundreds have approached through registrations who are not even in India, who are living overseas and wishing to pursue civil services career and trying to prepare there only. So I think webinar can be a good platform to answer all the basic doubts they have before starting the preparation, or even if they are during the preparation, even then they may have some doubts. So basically, this is a way out to reach to the students who need some suggestions but cannot afford to come to Delhi or for some other reason. So this is the only target behind this. I think if we succeed in this target in the first webinar, we'll move ahead with other webinars. And if the experience is not so good for the students, if they feel that this has not been a good and fruitful exercise, then we can think of stopping it. But let us try today's webinar first of all.
So, sir, you mentioned addressing basic doubts, and one of the most basic doubts that students have is how to begin preparation. What should be the first step for someone who is starting to prepare for civil services?
See, that depends upon when is someone starting for the civil service preparation. There are some people, I went through the questions, they have been registered in the online form. There are some students who are studying in the 10th class or 11th class or 12th class and they are willing to start the preparation. There are many who are doing graduation or maybe 11th, 12th intermediate classes. There are some who are doing research or masters. There are few who are already working professionals with maybe 2 to 3 years experience. And all of them are willing to start the preparation. So starting the preparation is, again, it's not always the same starting point for everyone. The starting point may be different from different people. But yes, if I have to answer this question with little detail, little length, I would say the preparation for UPSC is not only about the preparation of subjects and general studies and the knowledge part. Generally, I tell my students that preparation needs 3 levels. And sometimes these levels go simultaneously, sometimes they go one by one. The very first level of preparation is you have to prepare your mind to pursue this aim or purpose. See, when we have fire in us, we start thinking that I have to become an IAS officer. Maybe this remains within us for 10 hours, 20 hours, 5 hours, because this is a fire. And as soon as the fire is off, and as soon as the immediate reaction to something goes missing, we don't have the motivation, we don't have the constant motivation with us. So sometimes when we think that we have to become an IAS officer just because someone else has told you to do so, or a person in your neighborhood has become an IAS officer and everybody is after you, that you have also to pursue this career. I believe because this is an exam which takes at least 2 years of your life and which needs a very constant, I think I should say, a kind of patience, a kind of perseverance, a kind of constant hard work. So first of all, you have to understand whether you are really prepared for taking up this exam or not at the level of preparation. Do you have sufficient patience, perseverance, self-motivation, etc.? For this part, for preparing your mind to get into this examinations preparation, I generally suggest people or the students to have some role models of civil services, of some civil servants. If you go on internet and search about some civil servants, you will easily find some very good civil servants who are working or who have worked very well. And if you are able to find the stories of those civil servants, if you read about them, how they entered into civil services, like nowadays I'm seeing the present National Security Advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, is a person who is being followed by a lot of people because he has been a civil servant of a different caliber. So people search about him. He was an IPS officer. He did this, he did that. Some people claim he went to Pakistan as a part of the spy mission. And when you read about the civil servants whom you want to imitate, whom you want to see as your role models, at least you understand that whether you are really willing to pursue that level, pursue that vision, pursue that goal or not. And if yes, the first part of preparation is check your patience, check your perseverance. And the easiest thing is just try to follow the schedule of a civil service aspirant for at least 7 days. And when I say 7 days schedule, it means try to study on an average 10 to 12 hours a day for 7 days in a row. If you are able to study for 7 days, it means at least we can believe that you can lead your life for at least 1 to 2 years in this kind of rigorous lifestyle. If that is fine, it's good. And for making your perseverance better, making your patience level better, some YouTube lectures, some YouTube interviews of the civil servant, some films about the civil servants, I think they would be very good boosters of motivation for you. So first of all, prepare yourself for a difficult path you are willing to choose. Secondly, if you have decided you have sufficient or adequate level of motivation and the willingness and the willpower, I should say, then comes the second part of the preparation, that is, you must have the approach to be a good civil servant, or at least to be a civil servant in the beginning. And from that, I mean the approach UPSC is wanting to have in the aspirants. You should have that approach in yourself. And that is a skills part, basically. What kind of skills? You need to have some thinking skills. You need to have some reading skills. You need to have some writing skills. You also need to have some speaking skills. If you have a set of skills, I think if you have been a student for UPSC, there is a topic in paper 4 HXGS that is called Aptitude. In any field, if you want to pursue a target, you need to have the aptitude for that. And aptitude means the basic set of abilities that, if given training, can be turned into a successful person of that field. That is called aptitude. So for getting into civil services, the aptitude of a good civil services aspirant has to be there in you. And to name the few skills, I would say I would start with the thinking skills. What do I mean by the thinking skills? Most of us, even when we are looking at the SMS messages coming on WhatsApp or maybe other social media platforms, I know I do not have people in my family or my friend circle who are generally not having good intentions about the country. So probably I have less access to such things, but what I'm referring to is, if you check your WhatsApp account on daily basis, you will find at least 10 messages every day, which are based on rumors and which are put with so many facts, the facts which look to be facts, but which are not the facts actually. And they are generally in order to create communal violence, maybe casteist violence, or if not violence, at least hatred. And we are so easy targets for those message sending people that without verifying the facts, we get into their trap. We start believing that everything which has been written in the message is true. Not even on cognitive level, we try to believe them. We also start developing hatred towards some communities, towards some religions, towards some castes, maybe towards a color, toward a race. And this is what is not expected from a civil servant or the one who wants to be a civil servant. This is not expected. So thinking skills means you must be able to think 360 degrees on any topic. What I do on such messages, whenever I receive a message of that kind, I just go and check on the internet. And it's very easy to check nowadays. We are in the age of information overload, and at least no one can say that I do not have the access to right information. You can easily have the access to right information just by a click on the Google. I check the information, and if the information sent by someone is wrong, I do put an authentic sources link on the maybe WhatsApp or any other social media, and then I tell them that better not to be a prey of misinformations. Let us try to be wise people, to be the people of wisdom. So 360-degree thinking means whenever you come across any topic, you must be able to think the pros and cons. You must be able to look at the topic from the perspective of yourself and from the perspective of others. When you talk about Palestine and Israel crisis, you must be able to look at the problem from the perspective of India, from the perspective of Arab League, from the perspective of Israel, from the perspective of Jews in India, from the perspective of Muslims in India, from the perspective of India as a country which wants to be a developed country. If you are able to look at one particular topic from all the possible perspectives, this is called 360-degree thinking. And for UPSC, especially for the mains and more specifically for the interview, you need to have such kind of level of understanding, unless maybe you get into IAS even otherwise, but most probably you will not succeed if you do not have a good thinking. Secondly, reading skills. You must be able to read the things in a very speedy and quick manner. And at the same time, you must be able to find the things which you need from that matter without wasting any time. This is reading skills. Then you need to have some speaking skills, not because you are going to be a leader. When you go into the interview board, you have only 30 minutes there. Interview decides your rank and the service. Maybe the main examination will decide your destiny, whether you will be into civil services or not. That is more or less decided by the main examination. But the service, would you get into IAS or IPS or IRS or maybe some other services, because we have around 25 services in this examination. So which service you will land into, or which rank would you get, that is more or less decided by the interview. And in the interview, there will be 5 gentlemen or the maybe few ladies as well, not only men. And they are supposed to judge your personality in 30 minutes, 25 minutes. The personality you have took 25 years to develop will be judged in a time of 25 minutes. And it's good or bad, I don't know. But most of your personality's expression depends on how you speak, how good you speak. What is your speech modulation? What is your way of speaking? What is your choice of words? How good is your technical vocabulary or the glossary you have? And this is what works as the channel. They want to judge your thinking personality, but the channel of judging your thinking personality is how you speak, your language, your expression. So you have to speak in a very balanced manner. And this is a part of speaking skills. And then the most important is writing skills. If someone asked me that you name one skill that is the most crucial skill for civil services examination, I would say writing skills. I got selected in this exam in the very first attempt, and I believe at that time my studies were not at the level where they should have been. But I got selected just because by chance, or maybe by some good chances, I had some good writing skills and they helped a lot. And I know many people, many students, many selected civil servants, those who did not study very well but got into proper IAS, got very good ranks just because they had very good writing skills. And I know at least hundreds of the candidates who studied very hard, who did everything right on the track of UPSC preparation but could not get through in this exam just because they did not have the writing skills. In the main examination, which is the main part, that is of 1,750 marks in totality. In prelims, that exam is objective, but the marks of prelims are not added in your final scorecard. So how good you are in objective questions, how good you are in solving objective papers does matter only to the extent that it gives you a green card or the license to enter into the main examination. But as soon as you come into the main examination or the league of 15,000 people, out of those 1,000 are to be selected for the civil services, and out of those 180 will be selected as the IAS and 150 as the IPS officers. So those 15,000 people who are the real contestants in this exam, their competition is based on the writing skills. 1,750 marks are allotted to the main examination, which is based on writing, and only 275 marks are allotted to the interview, which are based on your speaking skills. It's very sure that in the mains as well as in the interview, it's not only the writing or the speaking skills which matter. The thinking skills are the basic skills, which are represented through writing skills in the mains and through speaking skills in the interview. So writing skill has to be very good. And when I say writing skill has to be very good, what does it mean actually? First of all, you should have a very good writing speed, because in the main examination, you have to write a lot. Good writing speed with a good handwriting, with a legible handwriting. Not only legible, it should be beautiful to the extent possible. If you have that. If you are able to write 200 words in 7 minutes easily with legible handwriting, you are almost into the race. And then in the writing skills, you also have to understand the writing skill of writing very precise answers is must in this exam, because for every question they ask, you have more than 2,000 words in your preparation, and you have to write only 200 words in the examination. So the content which can be reproduced in 2,000 words has to be reproduced in 200 words only. If you have that caliber, if you have that capability, you will definitely get through this exam. And in the essay paper, it's the reverse thing. They will ask you some topics which generally people believe they cannot even write a sentence on that. And you are supposed to write 1,200 words on that topic. Very abstract topics sometimes, very abstract. Like good fences make good neighbors. This was a topic of the essay on which you were supposed to write 1,200 words. A lot of topics which are very abstract, very philosophical, very creative, very imaginative in their nature. And you do not get any help on them through the preparation of your general studies or through the preparation of your optional subjects. You are supposed to write 1,200 words on those topics in the essay examination, which is very crucial. So the second part of the preparation is the preparation of skills, the development of skills. And I told you 4 skills basically: thinking skills, reading skills, writing skills, and speaking skills. Now the third part or the final part is studies for the UPSC examination, civil service examination. That is the part which is most focused upon, but in my opinion, that is the part which is not most important actually. You have to study all the segments of general studies, one optional subject. Now, if someone asked me when should we start and how should we start for the UPSC preparation, I would say, if you are ready at the first level, that your mind is ready, your mindset is ready, you are having sufficient levels of patience, perseverance, you are willing to hard work, you have been hardworking. So you can say the first level of preparation is already covered. If not, start from there. If you also believe that the second part of preparation is also done, or that is being done simultaneously, that is fine. If you have good reading skills, you have good writing skills, you have good speaking skills, and the best part is good. I forgot the fourth skill. If you have all the skills in a good combination in yourself, then you can say this is the right time to start for the third part of the preparation. In my opinion, if you have been a serious person through the times of your schooling, at the time of schooling or at the time of first year of college, I am including 11th and 12th in schooling in some states, The intermediate classes are also done in the colleges. So till the time of 12th class, I believe you should focus on the first two levels. First is motivational level, or the level of patience and perseverance and hard work. And second is the skill set. Once you have passed your first year of graduation and you are serious enough to start the preparation, I think from the second year of your graduation, or maybe even from the first year, because nowadays you are not going to the colleges, you can start a serious preparation of the knowledge part of UPSC. That is the ultimate you have to do in the last 1 to 2 years of your preparation. I think that should be an adequate answer, Ramit, Pooja.
Yes, sir. That was very well answered, sir. Thank you so much. And since the imposition of the lockdown, the most frequently asked question that has been is when the offline batches will begin.
Offline batches, it depends on many factors. The first factor is, are we having a third wave or not? Let's hope not to have a third wave. But again, there is a possibility. Second factor is the pace of vaccinations. Do we have sufficient vaccines? And the governments are working very fast and quick to have all the people having the vaccines. If 60-70% population has been vaccinated or has gone through the COVID itself, I think that is the level when we will be starting to have a kind of herd immunity, and then the risk of transmissions will be very minimal. Secondly, the second wave has been very devastating. It has been very bad as far as the death mortality is seen, or the byproducts and comorbidities are seen, like black fungus, white fungus, and a lot of things. So the casual approach or the complacency we used to have after the first wave, I believe that will not be easily seen after the end of second wave, because the state governments will be very much particular and they will take more precautions this time. And because center has put all the onus on the states, I believe state governments will not take it easy. They have to prove themselves, and also knowing the fact that we have elections in Uttar Pradesh in the beginning of 2022. In Delhi, we have municipality elections in the beginning of 22. I believe at least in these two states, they may take some more time. They won't take any risk for the elections. So in my opinion, if everything goes very fine, if everything goes without any accidents, no new variants come, no new waves come, I believe around Deepavali, maybe October, November, we will be having the offline classes with limited capacity, of course, not with the full capacity. And if anything happens which should not happen, maybe a new variant, maybe a new wave, maybe less delivery of vaccines, I think the offline classes may take 2020's beginning to start. Let's hope for the best. Maybe in October we will be having offline classes.
Right, so sir, I believe that most students believe that
Your mic is off, Ramit.
So like you mentioned that there will be a delay. So a lot of students want to know that whether online classes are just as effective as offline classes. And this was a question which was asked by over 500 students, and some of them include Shashi Raj and Vikas Pandey from UP, and also Purvi Goswami from Madhya Pradesh. They have the same doubt.
Okay. So let me compare the online classes with the offline classes. And whenever I say any classes, I'm not meaning only about Drishti classes, I'm meaning in totality in general. See, in online classes, you have some satisfactions missing. That is true. Like you don't have the option to talk to the teacher in person. You cannot ask your doubts in person with the teacher. You don't have friends sitting with you. You don't have good circle of friends to have a cup of tea with, or to discuss a lot of things, maybe academic or non-academic. You don't have good friends to pass good time with them. This is, I mean, having good friends while studying is part of the studies only. That is not the wastage of time. You need to learn a lot with other students, with the classroom settings, with the situations around which you are not able to learn in the online education. That is true. But first of all, we do not have the options. When we do not have the options, we have to accept what is available. Secondly, as I told you, try to think in 360 degree. Also try to think what is better in online. In online, the best thing is like we are having an online discussion right now. I used to have such offline discussions in the classes as well of this nature, but the fact is, maybe 2-3 rows in the beginning, sitting in just front of mine, they were always able to look at me. They were always able to ask the questions from me. They were also very much easily comfortable with the words written on the whiteboard or the blackboard because of the proximity. But a person sitting in the end of the classroom, a person sitting in an angle of the classroom from where the board is not very easily visible and the teacher is not accessible because of the distance. And if he has to ask a question, he has to put maybe his or her self-respect at stake, because when he or she will ask a question in the class, everyone else will be able to listen to the question and maybe laugh at him or her. In online classes, first of all, everyone has the equal access to the teacher. I mean, you are able to look at me, you are able to see me. Or if I was using a whiteboard in the class, whatever I write on the whiteboard, you are able to see that equally, not with a difference of where you are sitting. You can increase the speed of online classes, you can decrease the speed, you can revise the classes quite often, maybe 2 times, 3 times. If you are a very good student, you can listen to the class on 1.5x speed. If you have some doubts on that topic, you can revise the class 2-3 times. These are the benefits which make the online classes beneficial for some people as compared to the offline classes. One of the problem is that you are not able to write answers in the online classes, but again, many platforms, including ours, we have given that option of evaluation on an evaluation. You can write the answer on your sheet. You can just take a photo of that paper and send it to us, and our team will evaluate. I think many of the online platforms are giving this facility. You can have one-to-one doubt sessions through Zoom or through mobile phone. That is, to some extent, or maybe even better replacement of the offline doubt sessions. So in totality, when the lockdown started, the online options were at a very primitive level, at a very raw level. But having passed more than 1 year in this situation, many of the online platforms have created very good options. Especially once the lockdown ends, maybe in 6 to 7 months, we will be in safer conditions. And maybe around June 22, we will be almost in the similar conditions that we used to be in 2020 beginning. But I believe 70-80% of the students who used to be willing to get into offline classes will again come into offline classes. But there will be at least 20 to 30% students who are willing to be part of offline classes, but because of the experience they had in these 2 years, they may shift to online classes, because online classes save your time. You are not supposed to commute every day, save your energy, and a lot of other benefits. Especially for the working professionals, especially for the housewives, especially for the school or college going students who cannot leave their cities, who cannot leave their homes right now. For them, I think the online classes have come up as a great solution for their problems. So there are different people, different solutions have to work. Right now, we have only online solutions, and I believe, as far as I am concerned, had I been a person of 21 years of age at this time, and had I been given the option of choosing between online and offline classes, probably I would have chosen online classes because of the innumerous benefits which I don't find in the offline classes. For teachers like me, offline classes are very good because we find a lot of satisfaction in those classes when the students are sitting in front of us, They are in a very smiling, they have the smiling faces. We crack some jokes, they laugh, and that is an atmosphere we are missing for 1 year. But leaving the satisfaction of the teachers like me, if I have to see the totality, the benefits in totality, I think the online classes are little better than offline classes. But that again, that depends upon the person as well. For the persons who do have less concentration, less focus, I think offline is far, far better for them. And the persons who have some self-dependence in studies, who don't look upon others to help them, I think for them online is a better solution for today as well as for the future. Yes, Pooja.
There is a question by Isha from Uttarakhand. She wishes to know about the strategy with respect to self-preparation and how every topic talks about preparing by self and they somehow become a part of some or the other coaching. So what should be the strategy and how should one decide that they have to get enrolled in a coaching or not? They should prepare self.
See, since I'm a person and I belong to a coaching institute, so my answer must be doubted by everyone. You must doubt my answer. I try to be as authentic as possible in my conversations, but again, there may be some hidden, maybe something in my unconscious or subconscious which may impact my answer. So be careful while listening to such answers from any person who is from a coaching institute. But yes, I have also been an aspirant for this examination. And as I told you, I cracked this exam in my first attempt. Not with a very good rank, but not with a bad rank as well. It was around 300 some rank. So I think that was a decent rank. In the age of 22 or 23, you should not expect more than that. And I am happy that I did that. If I take my example as a student, I got very good marks in all the things. Essay, interview also, I got good marks. In my first optional subject, I got very good marks. That was Hindi literature. In my second optional subject, which had not been a subject of my background, I put a lot of efforts, more efforts than my first optional subject, more efforts than even the GS. But I could not score very well. Not in the first year, not even in the second year, not even in the third year. When I look back, I believe I had everything except a good guidance in that subject. I talked to some people who scored well in that subject. They gave me some tips, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, because if someone has cracked the exam, he or she is always surrounded by a lot of people, like I used to be at that time. I was looking at them that they will help me, but they were busy with a lot of people because everyone is after them to seek advices. So you don't get the right advices. And sometimes some people miss the exam because of that only. So having said that, I would say I would give you 3 or 4 points in this answer. Number one, theoretically, principally, and many times practically, it is not only possible, but it is very practical to get into civil services without doing any coaching from any institute. That is true. Even if you choose that path, I would suggest you to at least visit the websites of the institutes, maybe ours, maybe someone else's. Visit the YouTube channels, visit the YouTube lectures available on the websites of the institutes and maybe some newspapers as well. They will at least guide you how to proceed. They will at least tell you which books are to be studied. Listen to some toppers' interviews. They will tell you which books they had gone through, and you can also choose your books from there. This is first thing. Secondly, if you are not financially capable, or if you are not able to afford living in a city where the coaching institutes are available due to any reason, maybe family reasons, maybe you are in a job, maybe something else, then also you must try to crack this exam without any guidance. Thirdly, if you can afford to live in a city where the institutes are available, if you can financially afford it, or you get a scholarship from a good institute. If everything else is under your control, I think having a good guidance makes the things easier for you. Maybe if you are able to get into civil services without any guidance in 2 years, maybe this time will be reduced to 1 year with the help of a good institute or good people to help you. So that is the only thing. But if you decide for any reason to go on your own, I think you should start with the NCRTs. In English, NCRTs are very good and they can be a starting platform. Then all the toppers have given the book lists. Just choose one topper as your guide. All the books suggested by him or her should be focused by you, should be read by you. Make short notes. Listen to the current discussions on YouTube channels, on maybe some radio channels or TV channels, which you find the best. And at least watch or see the answers written by the toppers, which are available on the websites of various institutes, test series platforms. They will give you an idea what kind of answer you are supposed to write in the examination, because that is where people miss. I think if you do all these things, there is a very good possibility of cracking this examination without having any coaching. That is very much possible.
So the next question has been asked by Vishal Savle from Maharashtra, and he has a very interesting question. He wants to know that why even toppers of this exam can score only 53% marks.
Okay, when coming to toppers, I think in the last question also there was a part. All the toppers claim that they did not take it, that we should not take any coaching classes, but all of them belong to some coaching institutes. I think we should not blame them about this. What happens is, in the process of preparation, there are a lot of things to do. Some of the toppers may choose to have only test series for prelims. Some of the toppers may choose to have only test series for mains. Some of them, maybe one of them was weak only in the essay, so he attended only essay classes. Maybe one of them was weak only in the optional subject, so he chose to study optional subject from an institute. Maybe they went for the mock interviews at the time of interview, because in the mock interviews, I think all of the candidates do think to have the experience as wide as possible. So they attend all the mock interviews available in all the institutes. So when the result is out, it may be their very genuine opinion that you do not need much of the coaching guidance, etc. But still, they attended mock interviews, they attended some test series and all. And maybe even sometimes after attending the class, you come to know that the class was not required. That is also true. So I think we should not blame them. This can be their honest opinion about the institutes. But in my opinion, nothing of such opinions can be generalized for everyone. If you are coming from a very good background, if you have been a very good student, maybe you have all the skills which were required, but that cannot be true for everyone. So everyone is at a different position. You have to see your location. From your location, if your goal is accessible without any guidance, you should. But I think a lot of people are so much behind in the race from the beginning because they have never been able to have good access to things. Maybe for them, the guidance can make a level playing field. That is a possibility. Now, the next question which you have asked is, even the toppers are not able to score more than 53% marks. Why? There is no specific reason behind it. This is just, I would say, this is the approach of UPSC. I don't understand why they do this thing. Like when you were a student in the school, I tell you from my and your difference. When I was studying in the school, there was a rule, unwritten rule, that no one will get more than 80 marks in the language papers, in English and in Hindi. Even the best students in our class in school, they used to get 75 marks, 76 marks, 78 marks. Maths was the only subject in which someone could score 100 marks. In science, it could be around 90, maximum 90, 92. In humanities, it was an unwritten rule that no student will be given more than 70, 80 marks in any subject, be it sociology, be it psychology, any subject of 11th class. So we never scored. No one scored. But recently, in the last 6, 7 years, maybe in last 10 years, the approach of the CBSE has changed. Now the government has started believing that when giving more marks doesn't cost us anything, we are not supposed to pay anything for that. We have to just give some more marks to students. And the satisfaction level of students can be increased with that. And the rate of suicides can be decreased or controlled by giving good marks to the students. Why should we have a belief that in humanities no one can get more than 75 marks? So they raised the bars. And now we used to score 70% marks, 75% marks, and we used to be the toppers of the school or the district, maybe. And a lot of respect we used to get on 70% marks at that time. And now, last year, one of my friend's daughter, who was not very good in studies, who was just a normal kid, an average kid. And I love average kids. I'm afraid of the excellent people, and I love the average people, who I believed would score around 60, 70% marks. She scored 95% marks. So I had only two interpretations possible. Either she studied so well in the last 6 months that she did the miracle, or the miracle is being done by the government of India. So I went to the website of CBSE and I searched how many of students have scored more than 90% marks in this examination. And to my surprise, the report was 65,000 students in India have scored more than 90% marks. Then I tried to search the data of my year when I passed in class. So by chance, the data was not available, but I believe it should not be more than 1,000. So it's not that the students of present age have become so good. The process of evolution has changed everything, and the today's students are so much evolved in comparison to the students of 20 years back. It's not the fact. The fact is, people who are allotting marks have raised their standards. UPSC is a very miser institute in this sense, institution. I don't know. They believe it's a very costly affair to give good marks to students. I think they believe in shattering the confidence of the students. That is the reason. Otherwise, in general studies, out of 1,000 marks, why is it so that not more than 1 or 2 candidates out of 15,000 are able to score more than 500 marks, only 50% marks? Why is it so? In optional papers, out of 500 marks, they are giving 361 marks to the topper, which is very easy to be said 72% marks. If 72% marks can be given to the a person in the optional subject, why not in general studies? If 72% marks is given, that it comes to 720 marks in GS. In essay, they are giving to the toppers 160 or 165 marks out of 250. That is again more than 60% marks, sometimes 70% marks. In interview also, the best candidates are getting 70% marks. When they are giving 70% marks to everyone in essay, in optional papers, and in interview, why not in GS? And if they start giving marks, then you will say that the toppers are scoring 65% marks. And why only 70? Why not a GS topper should get 950 marks out of 1,000? If a person has written all the possible points, you are asking the reasons behind 1857 revolt, and he has or she has cited 10 reasons. We cannot expect any good person to write more than 10 reasons in the exam in which you have to write 20 questions in 3 hours. Why are you not giving 100% marks or at least 90% marks to that person? Even then you have decided not to give more than 60% marks in a specific question. So the toppers are not getting good marks doesn't mean toppers are not good. They are very good people, but the exam system is such that they don't believe that good marks can be given. Even if the UPSC chairman sits in the exam, I doubt he will be able to score more than 40-50% marks in this examination. But what difference does it make? You got 80% marks in graduation, but you are jobless. You got 53% marks in this examination and you are into IAS. So it doesn't depend what is the percentage of your marks. What depends is, are you better than other candidates? And if you are the best candidate, even on the 53% level, then it's fine. Who is asking the percentage from you in UPSC examination? No one cares for that. Yes, next question.
There is a question from Darwin. He belongs from Rajasthan, and his question is actually related to memorizing. So Darwin, please ask your question.
Hello, sir.
Your name is Darwin?
Darwin, yes, sir.
Great. Darwin is my most favorite scientist and philosopher. So I'm so happy to personally meet Darwin, which I always dreamt of.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Darwin, what is your question?
Sir, my question is how you are possible to remember all things, all facts, all the situations you can handle. And sir, you told I watched your yesterday session in Hindi. So, sir, you told that we have to study at least 8 to 10 hours a day. Sir, I want to know, for a beginner, it is quite difficult to make it 8 to 10 hours. Sir,
okay.
how to make it, and how to be regular in it?
So you have 3 to 4 questions. First of all, you believe I have a very good memory. Thanks for that.
Yes, sir.
How am I able to remember all the things? I think that is only the difference of the age which we have. I have been studying and teaching for at least last 20 years, and anyone who does the same thing, anyone who is in the same profession, will eventually have a similar kind of memory. That is only because I have been memorizing for last 20 years. So that is why I have a good memory. That's the only reason, nothing else. And when you see my YouTube lectures, so you have to understand the level of memory you have on the day of examination. That memory level doesn't represent your real memory. In other days of the year, you don't have the same level of memory. So when I come for the YouTube lectures, at that time, I have revised the topic so well that I remember all the things at that moment of time. If you ask me after 10 days, I will be like, I don't remember. Because memory is a biological thing which everyone has the same problems with. So the day you go for the examination, at that day, your memory level is so high that you know all the syllabus, all the topics of the syllabus are there in your mind, but not after 10 days. Same is the case with me. The only difference is that I am almost double the age you are, and I have got a lot more time to remember the things. That is the only thing. Secondly, you said that I said I have to study 8 to 10 hours every day. I didn't say I have to. I said I do. I'm not bound to study because I'm okay with all the studies I have, and I can teach the topics because the topics I teach are not very much current oriented. So I have to study on them. That is not the fact. I study because I love studying. And if you are coming into this field, you should also start loving studies. I believe until the time you understand the studies are to be loved, you are loving nonsense things actually. When you start loving books, when you start loving concepts, when you start loving knowledge, wisdom, as in Western philosophy, the word philosophy means love for knowledge, love for wisdom. So when you start loving to know, then you don't count the hours. Until the time you are studying because you are studying for the sake of civil services or for the sake of some remuneration or for the sake of some avoidance of some punishment, then you are studying because you have to. So when you are entering into the preparation of this exam, I think 6 hours a day is more than sufficient for you for some time. Don't worry for that. Right? And regularity does not mean 30 days a month. If you are studying 26 days a month, with the exception of 1 day in a week, I think that is perfectly fine. Because we are human beings, we are not machines. And a human being has to face a lot of emotional stresses, emotional breakdowns, some social pressures, some social involvements. Your family may ask you to do something on a specific day. You won't be able to study at that day. So whenever you evaluate yourself, whether you are studying properly or not, keep at least 4 to 5 days as the exemptions in a month, or what we call cheat days nowadays. You can cheat with your schedule on those days. 25, 26 days a month should be the average schedule. And in the beginning, 6 hours is sufficient. Gradually increase that to 12 hours. And once you get properly into this examination, you won't have to do this. This will happen automatically with you. You won't even know how you have shifted from 6 to 12 hours. And then you will be starting feeling that why I'm able to study only 12 hours. Why is it so that I have to sleep every day? Why can't I sleep on one night for at least 1 week? This kind of thoughts will start coming into your mind because you will be hungry of studying a lot of things. And in UPSC, unless you are so much hungry for the studies, unless you are dying to study a lot, I believe you are not the right person or you are not on the right track. But it will take time. It doesn't start with the starting, maybe 6 months, maybe 12 months, but eventually you will start loving the studies. The syllabus is so nice in UPSC. I say to my family members as well, I have one son. I don't think he would ever like to be a civil servant because I don't know, he has different interests. But I always keep on telling him, requesting him. He is in the age in which parents should only request. So I keep on requesting him that at least prepare for the UPSC for 1 year. Don't take the exam. That is your choice, but at least prepare for it. Because the preparation of civil services, the syllabus is so nice that at least it will make you a very good human being, better human being. And UPSC civil service is the bonus only. It is the additional benefit, I think, of this preparation. I think I have been able to satisfy your query.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Darwin. Okay, tell me one thing.
Yes.
Which is the best book of Darwin, which all people read?
Sir, I don't know about the best.
Yes, this
even
will
I didn't.
This will be the first
I didn't.
This will be the first question of your interview. Mind it.
Sir, even I didn't read about Darwin.
Oh, you have to study about Darwin.
I read in class 10th.
No, that is fine. But when you will go for the interview of IAS, the very first question, and I'm sure at least 10 minutes of your interview will go on Darwin. So from the Darwin being a Jew to writing books and the developments he made in the evolutionary sciences, you must have a good understanding of that. Darwin is one of 3 or 4 persons who have changed this world. So you need to study that. I'm sorry to disturb you at this time. You were supposed to ask him. It was not my, but again.
No, not sir.
Being a teacher, we have this disease of asking questions from the students whenever given the chance.
No problem, sir. Anything.
Yes, Ravmeet, what is the next question?
Sir, the next question will actually be asked by Aviral. He is from Uttar Pradesh, and because all of us know that the pandemic is going on, and we know all around us somewhere or the other is getting infected, and it is sort of giving an emotional trauma also to some people. So he has a question related to that, how to overcome that while preparing.
Okay, Aviral, where are you from?
Hello, sir. I am from Lucknow.
Lucknow, okay. What is your question?
Sir, actually, I started thinking about civil services back in 2018.
Okay.
After that, I gradually prepared myself. I just learned about the syllabus and the whole process and somehow developed myself so that I will give the exam when I'll be eligible. I was in my graduation and 2 years were left. After that, when it was the last year of my college, I started reading the NCRT books.
Okay.
So in almost 6 to 7 months, I completed my NCRT books. after that, there was the first wave of COVID. Uh, After that, I just waited for the coachings to open so that I can join and continue with my studies. So I just revised NCRTs, and the coachings then opened. um, I mean, my 1 year was already gone. It was January 2021 when I joined the coaching. It's the IAS in Lucknow. For there, I studied 2 months, and after that, the second wave was there, in which my parents, both my parents, my mom and dad, got infected. My mother was under home treatment, and my father was hospitalized. So, the time, it just went 2 months. Where it is gone, I don't know. And it has given me a kind of trauma. Everything I studied back, it feels like it is vanished. So now I just want to ask you that everything that has gone off track, now how do I, just get everything back on track?
Now your parents are well, safe.
Yes.
So you are one of the most lucky people of this country,
Yeah.
whose both parents are good in this time. And whenever you face some depressing feelings, compare yourselves with the ones who are not as fortunate as you are.
Yes.
I know many families who have lost at least one member from their families.
Yes, a lot of my relatives.
I came to know a very terrible story 3 or 4 days back, that a boy died in Uttar Pradesh in one district. I helped in his cremation through some sources. And the same day, his wife gave birth to a child. And on the same day, the husband died of COVID. And he was in a district, some other district, and wife was in some other district at that time. And this person couldn't see even the face of his child. And the most terrible part is, when he died, there was an issue whether he died of COVID or not. He died of COVID, but there was some uncertainty about that on the level of government. Even he was not able to get cremated for 2 to 3 days because of the lack of papers, documents. So there are so bad stories in the times of COVID that, first of all, I think I should congratulate you that both your parents are well. What I'm trying to tell you indirectly is, try to enjoy things what you have. Don't always think what you don't have. Try to focus on the things you are blessed with and not on the things you are devoid, you are not having the access to. Secondly, when you say you were studying very well and now your 2 months went and you are not able to focus again, 2 months time has been lost. First of all, you have not lost the time. You have gained so much, because it is a myth that we study or we learn only from the books. Life is the best teacher, and the experiences of life teach us some things at the level of values, at the level of virtues, which we can never have the access to the books. So the level of patience, the level of perseverance, the level of forbearity you must have achieved in these 2 months when your parents were not well, that will not be achievable in normal human circumstances. So I should congratulate you again that you have got an opportunity of developing something which the books could never help you to develop. Thirdly, human memory doesn't work in the manner as you are thinking. The difference between computers and humans, as far as the memory is concerned, one of the differences, that computers can erase their memory whenever the owner of the computer wants. Human beings are not even able to erase their memories. You cannot erase the memory. And whenever you wish to erase something from your memory, it becomes more prominent. You cannot erase that. A lot of people try to forget a lot of things, but they are never able to forget the things unless they are trying to forget them. Unless they stop trying to forget them, rather. So you haven't lost anything. The only thing is you are not easily able to recall the things you studied during that time. As soon as you start reading the books again, you will find that everything will come recollected in recollected form. There is a memory called cache memory. There is a memory called ROM, especially the EEPROM part of that. So the cache memory must have been deleted, maybe few things which you read on the last day. But the things you read properly and revised, they must have been in your mind. The only problem is you are not able to retrieve them easily. But as soon as you start reading the books and notes again, you will find if you took 3 months to study that topic earlier, you will take not more than 7 days now, because everything will come in your mind automatically as soon as you start studying that. So there is a famous statement of Plato, all knowledge is reminiscences. So reminiscences, the knowledge is within you. The only thing is, as soon as you start reading it, it comes reflected from into your mind. So you have the knowledge. The only thing is you are not able to retrieve it properly, and the retrieval will take place as soon as you start studying again. So instead of thinking a lot about what you lost, start thinking about to read it again. To restart it, and all the experience you have got in these 2 months, this is the treasure of your life, and don't ever think that you have missed it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So congratulations again for having gone through a very tough time and learning a lot of things which books won't be able to tell you. Yes, the next question.
Sir, I'm asking this question on behalf of Neha. She belongs to Delhi and she faced a situation. Her father succumbed to COVID-19 on the 6th of April, and she faced a situation when she went to the hospital that she found out no beds are available because beds have been pre-booked by certain politicians in case they get ill. They were not ill yet. So the question she has that, will she be able to pre-book the hospital bed in case she becomes an IAS officer?
Okay, this is the question. What is the name of the individual who asked this question?
Neha, sir, Neha.
Okay, Neha, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss. And I know a lot of people in my family, in my friends, in my organization who have also faced some losses of the same nature. So first of all, we are with you in your such feelings. Secondly, this is bad that the politicians had booked the bed in anticipation of being ill later on. And because of their misuse of power, you were not able to even exercise what was genuine and right for you, which should have been your right to access the bed. If you become an IAS officer, of course, you can misuse the power as well as they were misusing. You can keep your bed available without even being ill. But I think that should be the right approach. The right approach should be, if you become an IAS officer and you are a deputy commissioner or collector of a district, you should make sure that no one gets the bed illegally, rather than thinking to keep the beds for yourself or for your family. Secondly, you should make sure that all the needy people do get the bed in the time of need. And I believe if a collector is a very good person, he is hardworking, his intentions are pure, I think he can at least save hundreds of lives in such pandemics. Maybe the infrastructural limits are there. Maybe he's not able to save all the lives, given the lack of oxygen support, given the lack of doctors and a lot of things. But a good collector and a bad collector can make the difference of at least hundreds of lives in such pandemics. I'm sure about it. I know many IAS officers, many IPS officers who are very good friends of mine, and I have seen this happening. A bad IAS officer and a good IAS officer makes a lot of difference. So I hope you will focus on becoming a good IAS officer and helping all the people, all the citizens of the country, and telling the politicians who demand something unethical from you on the face of them that you are not going to do anything which is against the constitution or the constitutional morality. Yes, we can proceed to the next question.
So next question with regards to preparation is that choosing an optional is considered very critical by students, and it can basically make or break your attempt, depending on how you choose it. So this is a question from Shweta from Haryana, Niranjan Singh from Bihar, and Sharat Sharma from Madhya Pradesh. They want to know how to choose an optional and what is the role of an optional subject in cracking UPSC.
In UPSC, if someone asks me what can be the biggest mistake of any candidate who is or was very capable of getting selected but could not be selected due to some mistakes, what should have been, what would have been, what could have been his or her mistake, or what can be a mistake of any candidate in this exam, the biggest mistake, I would say the selection of a bad optional subject. That can be the biggest mistake. So as far as the question of these three individuals is concerned, I agree with you that the optional subject can make or break the possibilities of your selection. That is very true. Yesterday, we also had a webinar in Hindi. Even in that webinar, I used a sentence I should repeat here as well. It is true that general studies is of 1000 marks and optional is of 500 marks. But the highest marks in the optional are around 360 and highest marks in GS are around 500. So when you compare the highest marks, you will find that it is 80-100 ratio, not 50-100 ratio in the final result, in the totality of the marks. So optional subject makes a very huge impact on your potential of success or failure. Now, does this question include the method of choosing the right optional subject? I'm forgetting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think there are three main parameters for choosing the right optional subject. I'm not supposed to name any subject in this webinar that the subject should be chosen. I'll use a group of subjects. You can take a wise decision on your own after that. See, some people say the optional should be chosen on the basis of your interest. Some people say the syllabus should be shorter. We should be able to complete it in 2, 3, 4 months. Some people say the optional which helps in GS or in essay or in interview is the best optional subject. These all arguments are very good, but these arguments are only secondary arguments. These cannot be the primary arguments. The primary logic is a subject which helps you in scoring good marks. That is the basic argument, basic reason, basic logic in selection of the optional subject. Now I know some people say, some of you must be thinking that all the optionals are equally scoring UPSC. Why should UPSC have discrimination in optionals? These are theoretical statements, and I also love theoretical statements to some extent, but they don't finally help you. The biggest myth in UPSC preparation is all the options are equal. All the options are not equal, not at all equal. I'm not saying conceptually. In principle, they are equal. In theory, they are equal. At conceptual level, they are equal. This is fine. But when I say equality means, if you study an optional subject, do you really have almost or exactly equal chances of getting a very good level of marks? Again, when you say an optional is scoring or not, do not focus on the rare examples. In every subject, you will find an example, maybe of 2009, maybe of 1998, maybe of 2015, that a person had got very good marks. He got 400 marks out of 600 marks in 1979, in 1984. This is not the right way. When you are basing your evaluations or conclusions on the rare examples, it means you are making yourself a guinea pig to be experimented upon. Don't do that. An optional is good or not, it is decided primarily on the basis of the results of previous 3 to 4 years only, because in UPSC, everyone knows that there are trends. 10 years back, every UPSC topper, almost every second UPSC topper came from psychology. Psychology was not an optional subject, that was the optional subject at that time. Every second person used to take psychology. Now, you won't even find maybe more than 1 or 2 in first 100 having psychology optional subject. Philosophy in English medium used to be a very good subject in 2005-6 times. Now, no one, at least I have not found anyone in last 3 to 4 years having philosophy in English or in Hindi medium and getting good marks. Good marks mean more than 300 marks. If you find sufficient people having more than 300 marks, you can come to a conclusion that the option subject is good. If you find at least 5 or 10 people having more than 325 marks, then the option is excellent. But again, I'm telling you, the example should not be rare. It should not be a primitive or ancient example of 1980s, 1990s, or 2000s. The example has to be after 2018, 17, not before that. So first criteria is the scoreability. And I believe all the options are not equal practically in terms of scoreability. I'm not talking about the theoretical or principal things. I'm talking about the practical aspects of this examination. Now, second, along with this parameter, if this parameter is suitable in more than 2 of your choices, then you have to look for the secondary reasons to choose which one is the better. If on the first level of your inquiry, both the options are doing well. The second thing can be, it should help in GS, maybe. It should be small. Maybe it should be interesting. Maybe it should have good books or good teachers or good guidance. These are all secondary arguments, not the primary argument. Now, the best options would be which is scoreable, more scoring, as well as small, as well as helps in GS, as well as very interesting. This is the ideal optional subject. This is the ideal choice. But you know, as in human beings, you don't get ideal people to have as your friends or the spouses. You always have to choose. You always have to accept any person with some limitations. In the case of optionals as well, you have to accept any optional subject with some limitations. So if I have to name a few optional subjects, I can compare on these grounds. Like anthropology is very high scoring these days, but it generally doesn't help in GS. Even if it helps at a very lower level, not much. It may help little in essay, maybe. It is not very small, not very lengthy. It's an average subject in this sense. Sociology, little less scoring than anthropology, but good scoring subject, very small. Helps in GS more than anthropology, definitely. Not in prelims, but in mains it helps, at least for 100 marks up to 1000. This is good. Maybe even 150 marks, I should say. Political science and international relations, PSIR. It's not a small subject. Sociology is a small subject. Political science is not a small subject. But if you have studied political science, GS paper 2 is almost fully covered. Maybe 200 marks. Essay paper, you may get at least 1 out of 2 essays which is based on political understandings. That helps. In interview, you can get some help. Even in prelims, out of the 100 questions, you get at least 18 to 20 questions of polity which are covered in the political science. So political science makes a good choice. Political science has also been very scoring in recent years. Not in the previous year, it was very scoring, but yes, it has been scoring in last 3 to 4 years. Geography, it is very good as far as the GS connection is concerned. It is very good as far as the prelims is concerned, because in geography and environment ecology combined, you get at least 30 questions in prelims. So it is very good. As far as the marks in main exam optional are concerned, it is not very good, but it is good. You see around 325, 300, 310 marks of maybe 10 to 20% every year. So it is a good subject. History is very good as far as the prelims and mains GS part is concerned. It is also very interesting for some people. It helps in essay as well, but it is very long. Geography is very lengthy. Pol science is lengthy. History is lengthy. So in all the subjects, you have to choose which is the best choice for you. If I have to give some formula to you, if you have less time, choose an optional subject which helps in GS so that you can save your time. Maybe political science, maybe history, maybe geography. Maybe you will be getting 10 less marks as compared to some other optional subjects, but you will be able to save at least 3 to 4 months. And if you have less time, if you are a working professional, if you have a lot of opportunity cost to be paid because of preparations of this exam, then this kind of decision making is sensible. If you have a lot of time, you are studying in the first year of graduation and you have started preparations, you have a lot of time and you are studying through humanities. I think in your case, the only parameter should be the scoreability. In that sense, anthropology or a literature, if you come from any regional background, maybe Gujarati literature, maybe Hindi, maybe Maithili, Tamil, Telugu literature can be the best choice. So as far as the only scoreability is concerned, mathematics, anthropology, literatures are the best choices. But all these subjects do not help you in GS. Maybe they help in essay, but not in GS. If you have less time for the preparation, go for political science or geography or history or sociology. These 4 choices should be good. Don't go for psychology or philosophy these days because the trends are not supporting, and I don't want you to experiment on yourself. Why to be a guinea pig if you have many options available? Why to choose something against the wind? You must move with the wind, have the benefits of the wind with you. Why to go against the wind? And if you want to prove in front of someone that you are the miraculous person, that you are the prophet of UPSC, then take an optional subject in which no one gets success and prove yourself to the world, to the India. That is again a choice to show your bravery. And maybe sometimes we get the gallantry awards posthumously. So, I mean, posthumously here means after the attempts are lost, after the life is lost.
So we have a few. Sorry, please continue.
No, I think I have been able to give at least a basic idea of how to choose a option subjects.
Yes, sir, definitely. We just had follow-up questions regarding optional subject, and like you mentioned, literature. This was a very common question that we saw that students sent, that can we take Hindi literature as optional if we have taken English as medium of exam during mains?
Yes. You can take optional subject. See, first of all, in English medium or in Hindi medium or in any medium for that matter. You can choose the literature subject with any medium. Maybe Marathi literature with Gujarati medium. That doesn't make any difference. Maybe Hindi literature with English medium. Maybe English literature with Hindi medium. Any literature subject can be taken with any medium of main examination. That is by default an option which is.
Yes, sir. And so we had 2 specific fields of academics who wanted a little clarity. These are medical science and engineering students. They are a little confused that for them which should be a better optional choice.
See, if you are coming from the medical sciences or the engineering and you are not very good in medical science or engineering. See, if you are very good in medical science or in engineering and you can score very well in that subject, then there is nothing to think about. You should go with medical science or the engineering subjects. Maybe in engineering, you don't have all the options available in UPSC, like you don't have computer engineering in UPSC. But mechanical you have, civil you have, electrical and electronics together you have in UPSC. So if that suits you, that is a good choice. And I have seen many people cracking UPSC through medical science. In the last year, medical science has done very well in last 2 years. So medical science can be a good choice. provided you have studied medical science very much seriously during your MBBS or maybe MS or MD. The same logic goes with the engineering. If you have been a very good student of engineering, you should go with that. Maybe you will get 5 less marks in engineering subjects, but again, spending 4 months to get 5 more marks doesn't always make sense. It makes sense to some people, but it doesn't always make sense. Now, let us focus on the ones who have to choose a new optional subject, because this question is asked by someone who is not willing to pursue medical science or the engineering subject of his background or her background. Now, this depends upon the factor that this is your first attempt or the any other attempt. If you are starting the preparation and if you believe you have very less time, and since you are a doctor or an engineer, I can assume that you have more opportunity cost because you are leaving a job or you are not accepting a job in which you could have earned a lot of money. So you have a huge opportunity cost in preparation of this exam. So you must try to keep the period of preparation as less as possible. Keeping this point in mind, I would say that you should choose maybe history, geography, or political science, because these 3 subjects will help you in GS as well. But if you are done with general studies, if you have full command on general studies and you have 3 to 4 months in your hands for the optional subject, and you are not worried about the time, you can spend 1 extra month for getting 10 marks, 15 marks. 10 marks means 100 ranks actually. 1 mark means 10 ranks average. So if you have covered the general studies and you are willing and you are capable of putting at least 1 to 2 months extra for your preparation, in that case, you should choose the optional subject which is the most scoreable. And in this sense, I would say maybe anthropology, maybe a literature of any language, and maybe sociology for that matter should be the best option subject. I think from these choices, you can take a decision for yourself.
So the next question is from Komal Bharti from Uttarakhand. Okay. And she's asking how to balance the GS static portion along with optional and current affairs. What is the best way to manage all 3 together?
This question is asked by Komal. You told me Komal? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
See, Komal, this again depends upon 2 things. First, your personality. Second, your time location, your timeline. There are some people who tend to study one thing at one time, like I am one of those people. If I'm studying Constitution today, I'm not able to focus on anything else. I keep studying Constitution. I get so into any subject that I'm not able to leave that subject just to maintain a balance. So for the people of this nature, like of my nature, the best practice is take one subject in one day and focus fully on that. Don't do the optional along with that. Only current affairs is fine. You can put 1 hour or 1 to 2 hours for current affairs every day. I think 1.5 hours for current affairs and half an hour for answer writing practice every day should be a recipe for everyone. And that should be separated from different times of your day. Like maybe as soon as you get up, maybe as soon as you start studying, just do the current affairs and the answer writing and keep it away. And then all other hours of the day should be focused on the studies you are doing these days. There are some people who are very balanced in their nature. They can study 3 hours one subject, 3 hours other subject, and they don't feel any kind of problem with this. Like I'm not able to feel happy or calm when I have to leave a subject when studying it. But some people have that tendency. So if you are a person who can study 2 to 3 subjects in a day without any tension and while being at peace, I would say you should divide your day into 4 or 5 parts. 1, studying general studies, maybe for 3 hours plus 1 hour of revision, 4 hours. Optional subject 2.5 hours plus 1 hour, 3.5 hours, so that it's around 7 to 7.5 hours. Then 1.5 hours for general studies, current affairs should be sufficient. Half an hour on answer writing every day should be sufficient. And this all becomes 9.5 hours. And I think when you are getting into this exam, 10 hours a day is a normal routine which a serious student has to follow if he or she is not working, working professional. 10 hours should be your target. Maybe in initial 2, 3, 4 months, you will be studying 5 hours, 6 hours. Gradually, you should try to increase. If you don't increase this time, your overall time, duration of the years and months will increase eventually. And that will be a huge loss for you finally. So this can be a division of your hours. I think it should suffice. One more point, as far as the current affairs updation of the static portion is concerned, I would say don't make the notes in registers or the notebooks. Make the notes in open sheets, loose sheets. Like in polity, let us take an example. You made the notes of judiciary, Supreme Court, and maybe the federalism. You prepared short notes of federal structure, and you have a file of polity notes. In that file, there is a clipped bunch of papers on federalism that you have kept in the file. Now there is a debate on federalism, maybe in context of pandemic, Corona, COVID, or maybe in any other context. Like the CM of Delhi day before yesterday or yesterday said that if we are supposed to purchase the vaccines on our own, are we supposed to purchase the guns and tanks when Pakistan attacks us? So this is a debate on federalism. Should the center ask the states to purchase the vaccines on their own? This doesn't mean that the argument given by the CM of Delhi is right, because the security of the country is in the central list and the health is in the state's list. So this is not a very good argument which he has given. But again, such arguments create a debate of federalism. Now, once having read all the articles of the Constitution about federalism, what you are supposed to do is, during all your preparation, whenever there is a current debate on federalism, read an article from a website of UPSC preparation. You will get all the facts and all the context in ready-made form. Take a printout of that, just highlight the main points, and attach these two sheets with the sheets of the federalism notes you had already prepared. So how to integrate current affairs preparation with your static preparation? This is the only way. Make your static notes, maybe printed notes even. If you have a book, maybe you are studying through a book only and you are not a person who makes notes. Don't worry. Just tear the book, tear all the pages of the book. Federalism, if there are 35 pages on federalism, tear all the pages and clip them together in the file. These are your notes for federalism, that's all. And whenever you have some current article on federalism, tear that again or get a printout of that. You can tear the article from the newspaper as well, and just put the same paper with the same clip, bound in the same clip, so that whenever you revise federalism, you have the static as well as the current topics together.
So, shall we move to the next question, sir?
Yeah.
So we are a little short on time, so we'll be taking our questions a little quickly now. Next question is from Ananya, Uttar Pradesh. She is
Ramit, am I giving very long answers? Should I stick to shorter answers?
No, sir. Please take your time, sir.
Okay. If you get any feedback that he's speaking so much, he should speak less, please tell me without any hesitation. So
I'm sure, sir, the students would love to hear however long you speak. So I don't think that's an issue.
Okay.
Sir, next student is Ananya. She is from Uttar Pradesh and she studies in class 10. She will be asking a question to you directly.
Class 10?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Ananya.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I'm in class 10 and my question is, sir, should I start my UPSC preparation from this stage only or should I focus on my current studies at this time?
But why have you put your camera off? I want to see a 15-year-old baby who is willing to start the preparation for UPSC?
So my camera is on.
Your camera is on? Then the issue
Yes,
should be
sir.
with my eyes. It means I'm not, just let me change the view. No, I'm not able to see you. Ramit, are you
So
able to?
maybe there's some
So maybe
network
we
issue.
can request the technical team to put her on spotlight, please.
No, she's on the spotlight. I had changed my view from
Oh,
my system. Now I'm on the standard view, but I'm not able to see any name. I'm only able to see her name written. Okay, not a problem, Anya. So your question is, when you are studying in 10th class, is this the right time to start preparations of civil services preparation, right?
Yes, sir, exactly.
Yeah, I think this is not the right time as far as the preparation of the study part is concerned. This time you should focus on the first two parts of preparation. First of all, you should prepare your mind to get into this exam or career. You should watch some IAS officers, IPS officers videos maybe when they are addressing some problems. Not the heroic ones, how they beat the people. I'm not talking about those videos. I'm talking about the videos in which they are doing something good. They're doing something meaningful. Secondly, there are many books. Rabbi, there is a list of books which we have. Please send the list to Ananya through email.
yes,
The books about some civil servants who did miracles while being in the service. If you study some books of that sort, you will at least have a very good motivational level for pursuing this career. You will find role models easily, which help a lot while preparing for this exam. Secondly, you should focus on the skills part. Try to think on 360-degree level. Try to research on some topics of current affairs, some articles favoring, some articles against, like I told in Israel-Palestine conflict. Read some articles which say that India should support Israel in a very direct mode. Read some articles which say that India should stand with Palestine, which our stand has been after the independence, since the independence. Read some articles which create a balance between these two, and gradually try to understand how to develop a balanced and progressive perspective for any topic. If you are able to do this, and if you are able to write such topics in 200 words, sometimes in 500, sometimes in 1000 words, in good language, in a language of flow, with good vocabulary, I think half of the work is done. By the time you will do first year of graduation, I think if you achieve these skills to a good level, your half battle is won. And then from the second year of your graduation, or maybe if you are in hurry, maybe from the first year of graduation, you can start directly studying the syllabus of the UPSC. And as soon as you complete your graduation, in the very first attempt, you can try to get into IAS. That is not very difficult. Many people crack this exam in the very first attempt in the age of 22. You can be one of them. But don't compromise with all the things which should be done in your age. You should play with your friends for at least 2 to 3 hours every day. You should talk to your friends and all the shit things which in your age all the people talk, and they think they are talking something great. All the things you have to talk to your friends which should be done in your age. So play with them, talk with them, live a lively life, enjoy with them, go on trips with them, and do some humorous things, crack some jokes in your class, give some speeches in the class. Be an overall smart person, and this smartness will help you more than your studies done in this time of your age. Is that fine, Ananya? Ananya,
A set of students.
okay.
Sorry.
No, I was asking Ananya,
So
is
shall we
she
move on?
satisfied with the answer? I doubt she was listening to me. She is so small a girl. Maybe she must have slept during the answer. Such a long answer. Okay, Ananya, I believe you got my point. And if you have any other query, you can write to the coordinators. They will ask again. Yes, Pooja, what is the next question?
So the next question is from Ishika from Uttarakhand, Sachin from Haryana, and also Ria from Kerala. They want to know about the significance of NCRT in this exam, in the exam of UPSC.
For NCRT, I will speak 3 sentences. First of all, if you studied NCRT when you were supposed to study them in the school, this is the best thing you could have done. But I doubt you did that. Most of the students don't do that. Secondly, even if you missed NCRTs that time, but when you are starting the preparation, if you have 6 months which you can invest in NCRTs, it is a good choice. It's not a bad choice. You should study NCRT books if you are starting and if you have sufficient amount of time. At least for history, at least for geography, and for science, you should do that. Third, if you could not study NCRT in the school as well as you could not study NCRTs while starting the preparation and you are already into the preparations, and or if you are very less time and you are not willing to put a lot of time in studying NCRTs because you don't have much time to study for this exam, I think even without NCRTs, you can manage. It's manageable without NCRTs, but it's easier to manage with NCRTs. So if you have already started studying history or polity or geography with advanced books and you have gone through those books, I think it's not very much required to go back to NCRTs now. Better to practice a lot of questions of UPSC prelims and mains. They will help you more. If you practice 2000 questions on prelims on geography, I think all the possible questions from NCRTs will automatically come in that group of questions. And if you solve those questions and you read the interpretations of the answers, I believe you have done the NCRTs without knowing that you have done the NCRTs. So don't die for the NCRTs, but if you have a choice to go through NCRTs, you should. It's not a bad idea.
Sir, next question is related to answer writing, and answer writing questions were again very popular, asked by Arif Sheikh from Maharashtra, Abhinav Thakur from Punjab, and Praful from UP. And they want to know that how to write a good answer and when is the right time to start practicing answer writing, and also whether having a good vocabulary helps in scoring marks.
See, answer writing is a combination of many things actually. You should start practicing specific skills of answer writing from maybe 10th class, maybe from the beginning of intermediate classes, maybe from graduation first year. But you should start answer writing in actual sense maybe after 6 months of starting the preparation. So what I want to convey is, for a good answer writing, first thing is you should have a speed, good speed of writing. You can start practicing to have a good speed maybe in the 10th class only. Try to write very fast with legible handwriting. And the target should be 200 words in 7 minutes. Maybe it is very difficult. Even if you are able to write 200 words in 8 minutes, then it is also fine. But try to maximize the speed with a target of writing 200 words in 7 minutes. So this skill can be started practicing when you were in maybe school or college. Second part of good answer writing, second skill needed for the good answer writing is your vocabulary. Vocabulary, again, I'm saying in two contexts. One is for every subject you have a lot of technical words. The glossary you should have. When you're writing on economy, you should know what is inflation, what is stagflation, what is deflation. And you should be able to use technical words exactly when they are required. If you don't use a technical word, you will have to write 10 words in place of that. And a technical word at least saves 10 words from your writing. The second meaning of vocabulary is you should have the access to accurate words. Sometimes we have synonyms in the language. I don't know I should speak in this class or not, this session or not, that in grammar, in language, in linguistics, it is believed that there are no two synonyms in the word. No two words can be synonyms in accurate sense. Language works on the principle of minimalism. If language can manage with having one word, it will never have two words for the same thing. So there cannot be synonyms. And when we have been reading a lot of lists of synonyms throughout the schooling, we know the synonyms of everything. Maybe 3, 4, 5 synonyms we have been mugging up during the schools. But in linguistics, it is believed that no two synonyms are perfect synonyms. They are imperfect or partial synonyms, which means without losing anything or without adding anything into the meaning, if you are able to use an alternative word for a word, then it is a perfect synonym. And if you lose some meaning, or if you add something else into the meaning while using some other word in place of a word, it is not the perfect synonym, it is the closest synonym, it is the imperfect synonym, incomplete synonym. So what I want to say is, the best vocabulary is when you precisely know that out of these 4 or 5 synonymous words, which word is most accurate in this context. And the people having access to the most accurate words in every context gain so much in the writing skills, gain so much in the main examination, especially in the essay examination, that they have defeated others even before starting the preparation of the UPSC. So when you are in school, when you are in 12th standard, when you are beginning with the preparation, you should focus in these skills of answer writing. Now coming to your second question, what is the characteristics of a good answer? I think in UPSC, you can remember 4 points for a good answer. One is it should be accurate. Now, I'm not talking about the accurate words. I'm talking about the accurate answer. Accurate answer means the answer should be of the question. It should not only belong to the question, it should focus on the question. Like sometimes the questions are very dicey. They are very vague. They can be ambiguous. There can be many meanings to the questions. There can be many parts of the questions. Try to understand properly how many parts the question is demanding from you to answer. And if there are 2 or more than 2 parts, what is the exact proportion in which you have to answer the question? Because all the parts of the question do not have the same proportion of importance. They may be in 70-30, they may be in 30-40-30, they may be 80-10-10. There may be a case of 60-30-10. So different parts of the question first, and the proportion of the importance of the different parts of the question. And then you have to answer the question exactly in that proportion. That is the first part of a good answer. That is, the answer should be accurate according to the question. Second is authenticity. And authenticity means, first of all, you should use the facts and reports and indexes which are very recent, which are very important, because using these sources make your answer authentic. It gives an impression to the examiner that the person is not writing his or her perspective only. He or she is mentioning the facts and the reports. It means he or she believes in the authenticity of the facts. Your opinion should be based on the facts, on the figures, on the reports. And when your opinion is based on the facts and the reports, the opinion also becomes authentic. So the second part of a good answer is authenticity. Third part is its expression part of the linguistic nature, linguistics expression. You should have a very good flow in the answer. You should have the choice of words, a very good choice of words, careful choice of words, very exact words have to be used in the answer. Technical words, wherever required, should be used in the answer. And the fourth part is non-linguistic representation or presentation of the answer. Because in UPSC answers, in the main paper, you don't have time to write answers. Whatever the level of your answer writing outside the examination hall, it doesn't make any sense in the examination hall because you don't have the time to write answers. So you have to develop the art of writing the answers using least linguistic part, using the tables, using the maps, using the graphs, using the flow charts, and flow charts of different natures. Not all the flow charts have the flow, vertical flow from upside to downside. The flow charts may have the flow from any side to any side. There can be a central maybe box and having the flow towards all other sides, having many small boxes. Many kinds of flow charts can be there. So if you are able to use flow charts, if you are able to use maps and tables and graphs in your answer, I think then you reach a level which UPSC wants you to be at. And those who write very good answers, for them, cracking IAS exam is very easy. It is even easier than cracking SSC exams or any other exams of clerical grade. Because once you have the skills of answer writing, then UPSC is easier than maybe any other exam of objective type. So I think I have discussed sufficiently on answer writing. You can ask the next question, Pooja.
So the next question is from Rajesh. He belongs to Bihar. He has a query that most of the major daily newspapers are either biased towards the left, the right, or the center. So how to choose the correct newspaper, and does he need to read newspapers daily?
Two questions. Do we need to read a newspaper? I think its answer is, if you love reading newspapers, you should. But you should not spend more than 1 hour on the newspaper. And if you have political science as the optional subject, maybe if you have sociology as the optional subject, maybe if you have public administration as the optional subject, you can put little more time on newspaper, because many of your answers of your questions of the optional subject will be appearing in the newspapers. Like in political science, all recent political debates, all recent international relations debates come in the newspapers. So reading newspapers gives depth to your answers if you belong to political science and to some extent public administration or sociology. If you have geography as a subject or history as a subject, I think you can even manage without newspapers primarily. Primarily means, as a primary source of current affairs, you should focus on some websites. We have a website, many other institutes have a website. And if you follow one or maybe 2 or 3 websites, you get access to everything. Because when you read a newspaper, you read a newspaper. When you read a website, there is a team working for the newspapers, maybe the team of 10 people. And they read one story. Story is not story actually. In newspapers, any article, any event is known as story. In the newspapers, in the TV media houses, the word is used story for any news. For any news or for any story, the person who is writing for a website, he or she studies at least 7, 8 newspapers, and then he writes all the points in the appropriate headings with the appropriate background which a UPSC candidate may need. So if you follow the websites, you get access to all the information from all the best sources together and in classified manner. And out of 10 stories of a day, out of 10 major news of a day, maybe for 1 or 2 you may be interested to read some articles. then don't go for a newspaper. Go on the internet and find the suitable articles. Maybe one day you find the best article in the Hindu. Maybe on the other day you find the best article in the Indian Express. Maybe in the DNA. Maybe sometimes in the Times of India as well. Maybe in a foreign newspaper. Why to stick only to an Indian newspaper? In my opinion, don't have an allegiance to a newspaper, a relationship with a newspaper. You must have the relationship with the news, not with the newspaper, specific newspaper. Better to follow some websites, some magazines, and go to the newspaper or the website of the newspaper only for the articles which are very good articles and they are specifically available on that website or that newspaper. Now coming to the second part of the question, which was the first part in your mentioning, but I'm taking it as the second part. That is, there are some newspapers which are left oriented. There are some which are right oriented. There are some which are biased towards center. This is very interesting word, biased towards center. And this is true. Sometimes we are biased to be unbiased. Biased to be unbiased means where we should be biased. Even then, if we are not biased, then we are biased to be unbiased. I can give you some examples for that. Like the Hindu is known for its biases towards the left. And there are some Hindi newspapers like Dainik Jagran, the Jagran Group, or the Organizer, which is published by the RSS. And some newspapers published by the Muslim organizations, maybe by the Christian organizations. They are supposed to be right-winger newspapers or the magazines. Everyone knows about them. There are some maybe newspapers or magazines which are little centrist in their nature. Maybe Hindustan Times can be put in that category. Maybe Times of India to some extent. Because when you are so much market oriented, you are taken as the right winger. Right winger doesn't only mean being communal or being casteist or right winger. Being right winger also means very much close to being capitalist. So in that sense, Times of India goes to some extent towards right wing. Hindustan Times is mostly a central ideologue, I can say. So what should be your approach? Your approach should be generally based on facts and 360-degree approach, which means you have to have a balanced approach. You will be extreme leftist or extreme rightist only because you have one eye closed from the facts. If you have both the eyes open, if you read both the perspectives, if you read the perspective of only left wing, you will be pro-Palestine. If you read the perspective only of the right wing, you will be very much in the favor of Israel. But if you read both the perspectives, you will be somewhere in between, as the Indian government is right now. So reading both the perspectives give you the balanced perspective. For UPSC, you need to have a balance. Balance with progressive mindset. Like in the case of right to privacy, or in the case of maybe constitutional morality, or maybe the case of Section 377, the homosexuality matter. You are supposed to give maximum space to the people who are on the periphery, who are from the deprived sections. Any civilized society is a society which gives maximum space to its individuals and doesn't stop their personal choices in the name of collective maybe arbitrariness. If some people are by nature or are by choice having homosexual orientations, we are no ones to judge them. We are no ones to deny them their rights. And if you understand the constitution and the constitutional morality in this angle, this is being progressive. Being progressive does not mean supporting to be a homosexual and trying to be a homosexual, but at least not denying the ones who want to have a homosexual life. It means you are accepting that they also have the right to claim their space and they are not bound to live according to my wisdom. This is being progressive. And you are not supposed to being progressive with a feline mindset that you are going to do a revolt with them. You are not supposed to do that. You have to be a very balanced person. So balanced, but progressive. And being progressive, sometimes you need to be little left oriented when it comes to distributive justice. Like, should the state help the weaker sections in purchasing vaccines for them? Yes. And as soon as you say the poor people should be given vaccines from the state or from the government of India, you are leftist at that point of time. You are not leaving them to die because they can't purchase the vaccines. So you are a leftist person. Even the America is leftist to this extent because they are purchasing the vaccines from the government funds for every US citizen. Sometimes you have to be rightist. When you talk about ease of doing business, you have to be little rightist because you are talking about the market reforms. You are talking about the market accessibilities to everyone. Sometimes when it comes to cultural rights, all the cultures have the right to have their own schools with their own educational system. Why should all the minorities not have their own schools in which I never favor the schools which teach only religious education. But if a school is giving modern education with the education of their religious values, not amounting to communal values, why should not they have the right to give their children the education of their religious values? They should. And as soon as you support the religious rights of giving education to the children, you become rightist. So you have to be a very balanced person. You should have your feet on the center. Sometimes one foot towards the left, one foot towards the right, and generally being in the center. This is the best approach to write in the UPSC exam, to be a civil servant, and to be a good human being in this country. You need to have this approach. And I'm not saying only to crack this exam, you need to have this approach. If you want to be a good human being in this country, you need to have this approach. And this exam does not need any other approach from you. It doesn't want you to be an extremist. It wants you to be a balanced individual with all the perspectives, with access to all the perspectives, and then having a balanced view, which a good human being should have. I think that should be
Yes, sir.
an adequate answer to this question.
So we had a big segment of students who are pursuing their graduation and sent their questions. And their main question was that how should one prepare while they are pursuing their graduation? And what are the basic things they should complete while they are pursuing graduation and preparing for civil service?
I think I have already given the answer to this question. While in graduation, maybe up to first year of graduation, focus on the skills part. Reading skills, thinking skills, writing skills, that is more important. Probably from the second year of graduation, you can start the full-fledged preparation. And because the schools and colleges are not working nowadays, maybe even from the first year of graduation, you can start the full-fledged preparation of UPSC now. And for the students of schools and colleges, online preparations are an easier option than thinking for the offline options. If at all you are planning to go for some classes.
A question has come regarding extracurricular activities. A student asks that he was not able to participate in any extracurricular activities. Will it affect his personality when it comes to interview?
See, there is a wide range of extracurricular activities actually. If you have been into writing activities, maybe writing competitions, essay competitions, it will help you in essay. But again, if you not have been into those activities, you can still practice essay writing, answer writing, and manage. Not a problem. If you have been a very good player, it is not going to help you in UPSC because it may help you only in the medical test, and that everyone passes even otherwise. That doesn't make much help. Maybe in training, you will prove yourself to be a very good candidate because you have been a good sports person. If you have been into stage activities, maybe debating, maybe mono acting, dancing, or singing, it gives you an extra ability of facing the people. So you have less stage fear. This helps you when you enter the interview board. You take lesser time to be confident in front of them. Maybe you will take 5 seconds, 10 seconds to be confident. Maybe someone else who is very introvert, who has been a stage fearing person, maybe he will not even get out of the fear in the 25-30 minutes of the interview. So if you are very introvert, if you are very much afraid of facing other people, it will definitely harm you in the interview. Because you need to come out of your fears in the interview in the initial 2-3 minutes so that you are able to express what you are. Otherwise, they don't even know who you are. But if you have not been into those activities in the school or college, it doesn't make much difference. You can do it now. Make a group and try to speak in front of group every day. Maybe you are 4 persons in a group. Maybe even not residing at one place, maybe through Zoom meetings only, you can have daily meetings with 4 persons. Discuss daily current affairs, and every one of you should speak for 15 minutes in front of other 3 people. Having a good exercise of this nature with good frequency, I think by the time of interview, you will be able to bypass this fear. And when you are done with the mains, start giving interviews, mock interviews to your friends almost every day. If you have given maybe 100 interviews to your friends, to maximum extent, the fear would vanish and you will be able to handle the interview board. It doesn't make more sense. If you are afraid of the DEF part, that in your DEF you are not able to mention the extracurricular activities, whereas others have mentioned a lot of activities, it doesn't matter at all. I mean, if it matters only in decimals, not more than that. They're not interested in the certificates you have got in debating. They're interested to see, are you really a good debater? They will check then and there. Your certificates will not make any impact on them. If you say you are a good singer, they will ask you to sing a song. If you have 10 certificates of the best singer, but you are singing so pathetic, it won't give you any good points in the interview. So if you are writing in the DEF that you have been an excellent, extraordinary person in extra activities, they will check your caliber then and there. They will not get away with your certificates.
Yes, sir. So the next question is that there is a big, again, segment of students who have confusion about their medium, whether they should go for Hindi medium or for English medium.
I think the medium should be the language in which you are more proficient, the language in which you are having better writing skills. So medium of main examination should be chosen on the basis of the writing skills. If you have writing skills better in English, go for English medium. If better in Hindi, go for Hindi medium. If equal, go for English medium. If almost equal, with an upper hand in Hindi, maybe 19-20 proportion, even that go for English medium in main examination, because in main examination, English helps you little more than other languages. In interview again, the medium of interview should be the language in which you are more comfortable in speaking. Like I'm more comfortable in speaking Hindi, so I should have chosen Hindi medium. If you are more comfortable in English, you should choose English medium. And there are some people who are in writing, they are more comfortable in English, and in speaking, they are more comfortable in Hindi. And I believe at least 50% of the people listening to this seminar come from this category. So if you are good in writing English, but you are better in speaking Hindi, so choose the medium of interview to be Hindi and the medium of mains to be English. That should be your choice.
Next, we have Muhammad Abdullah from Uttar Pradesh, who has a query related to influence of academic background on selection in this exam. Please, Mohammed Abdullah, ask your question.
And how many more questions we have now?
Hello, sir. Can you listen
we
me?
have approximately 10 questions.
10 more questions. So it may take maybe half to one more hour.
So we'll be cutting down on a few questions and maybe clubbing them together so that we can cover them quickly.
Okay. So who was asking the question? Muhammad Abdullah.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What's your question?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, I have watched some interviews of toppers, and I have noticed that some of most of the aspirants, you can say, who have cracked the ICE exam are IITians and NITians, and some have been to USA, UK, and Australia. So I have never been to even out of my home state. I don't even know how is Maharashtra and other states. So I've done BCom, and I feel discouraged, demoralized when I see them, some IITians and some brilliant students. So how can I beat IITians and some students who have been to America and USA? So please, address that.
Yes. So, Mr. Abdullah, first of all, see, if someone is coming from the IIT, if someone has worked in a multinational corporation, maybe in Google or Facebook or some other company, it can make impact on two bases. One, he is from IIT or he is from Google. One, and second, the abilities he or she has due to which he is or he was in IIT or he was or is in Google. As far as the difference of abilities is concerned, it definitely makes an impact in UPSC or any other exam for that matter. But if you had not been in IIT, it doesn't mean you have less abilities. Maybe you had less chances. Maybe you had less awareness. Maybe no one told you that you should try for the IIT. Maybe at that time you were not interested in studying science, maybe many more reasons. So there is a possibility that at the level of abilities, you are equal to them or maybe even better than them. But due to the availability of chances or the awareness, they made into the IIT, they made into American companies or French companies, and you could not. That may be due to the environment you are surrounded with, or the people you are surrounded with, or the school or college background you have. If the abilities are different, definitely the person having better abilities will have better chances to get selected in civil services. One. Second, as far as the impact of coming from IIT or coming from a very good multinational corporation, maybe from America or some other country, it gives an initial advantage in the interview. Like I take mock interviews. If some candidates comes from the IIT, then he or she was from IIM, then he or she went to Google and worked 3 years there, and then he or she has come for the interview. So initially, definitely the members are surprised, happily surprised that, wow, what a candidate has come. This is the fact. But the onus of maintaining this impact is totally on that individual. Sometimes they are able to prove that, yes, I have the metal. That is why all this, all the entries in my DEF speak about me. So if he or she is a very good candidate in the personality test, definitely they have an advantage of being from this background. But sometimes they are not able to carry themselves in that level, in that manner. And then the interview members start thinking, oh, and then they believe the level of IIT they used to believe comes down in their mind. The level of America they used to have in their mind, that comes down. Because the person is not able to prove that he has done so much things. So if you have something very good in your biodata, it may benefit you, or it may also be a kind of boomerang which can destroy you because you are not able to prove yourself to the level of expectations they have from your detailed application form. Now coming to the third part, you have not gone outside your state. Your state, probably you are from Uttar Pradesh. Okay, you are from Uttar Pradesh. You have not gone outside Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is so huge that it's very difficult to go outside Uttar Pradesh even otherwise.
Yes.
But okay, you have never been outside the state. That doesn't make much difference. Sometimes UPSC will benefit you for this. They want some people, they want the representation of the people who are coming from the very modest background, who didn't have the access to any big cities, any big universities, any colleges of eminence. And even then, they are trying to come to this exam. In the interview, there are at least 50% chances that you will be getting at least 10 more marks just because you have never been able to visit Delhi or America or IIT. Because you have been from a very modest background, because your participation in civil services make the services more civil. And this is what they give weightage to in the interview. So the chances of their getting benefit are almost equal to your getting benefits in the interview. So don't feel deprived, don't feel discouraged. Maybe this is the jackpot you are having. And sometimes we feel that we are deprived for the reasons, and in actuality, they are the reasons which make you the most successful person.
Sir, moving to the next question, sir. So the question is again a very common question for anyone who is preparing for UPSC, and this has also been asked by Sadhna Maurya from UP, Drishti Shukla from Delhi, and Raj Rajab from West Bengal, Nihar Das from Assam. And they ask that is Plan B a necessity, and if we don't clear UPSC, then what career options do we have?
Plan B is necessary for some people, not for all. First of all, if you come from a very rich family which can take care of you even if you are not a successful person in life financially, you can move without a plan B. Secondly, if you have been an excellent person in your studies and you are sure that you will get something else even if you are not into the UPSC, then you don't need a plan B. Maybe you have been an engineer, maybe you have been a doctor, maybe you have been a lawyer, good lawyer. Then you will manage. Maybe you will take one more year to make into the field, but you will manage. And even if you are a good student and studying for UPSC and then you don't want to pursue the background you have, I know many engineers who studied for UPSC couldn't qualify, but they chose to do something other than engineering background or medical background. So UPSC gives you a lot of chances to pursue different careers. You can be a very good teacher, and I have seen many teachers in UPSC field who are engineers, who are doctors, but when they couldn't qualify in the UPSC examination, they pursued the civil services teaching career or any career of this kind, maybe having a startup in education. There are many institutes, many websites are there, many online platforms are there, and they do pretty well. And when you work in the field of knowledge, you are more satisfied than working in any other field. When you are surrounded with young people who are asking a lot of questions and you are able to answer them, and you find a sense of satisfaction on their faces, this is the highest satisfaction possible in this world, I believe. And if you are a good candidate in UPSC, you can pursue such careers. You can be a very good content writer. You can have your website. You can have your mobile application through which you can help thousands and lakhs of new candidates. Even otherwise, after pursuing for UPSC, you can get into CAPF, you can get into Provident Fund Commissioner exam very easily. After doing serious preparation for the UPSC, you can easily get into the media circles. In media, they are dying for the people who have seriously prepared for UPSC, because the entrants in media are generally not that well read that we find in the UPSC field. And a very well read UPSC aspirant is more apt for the media circles. So I'm sure if you have been a good student for UPSC preparation, you will do something good in your life, maybe even if you are not selected into civil services. Now, if you come from the third category, neither you have a rich background, nor you have an excellent, extraordinary skill set. I think in that situation, you should have a plan B, because in order to try to be a king, if you are not even able to be something, then it feels very bad. You are left behind your friends. And I believe at least something, maybe you should pursue your master's to be a teacher in the school or in university. Maybe you can pursue LLB along with this exam so that you can qualify for the judicial exams or the advocacy. You should do something at least. You should crack UGC NET or JRF exam from the field of your expertise so that you can get into universities, you can get good fellowships. At least you should have something in your hand if you are neither from a rich background nor from an excellent academic background, which gives you a confidence that you will do at least something to lead a good livelihood. Yes, next question.
So we have a fan of you from Odisha, Priyanka,
Okay.
and she requests a feminist insight when it comes to being selected as an IAS.
Okay.
So please, Priyanka, ask your question.
Hello, Priyanka, your mic is switched off. Please switch it on. Priyanka, you still need to switch on your mic. Pooja, is there a connection error or something else?
So may I rephrase the question for her?
Yeah, because I think there is some network issue and she's not able to.
Right. So I'm reading for her. If a woman who has... Priyanka, are you available now?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Priyanka, please ask your question. Your mic
I will
is...
say that I am an officer and I'm really to see you in front of me and talking with me. I'm really privileged, sir. Sir, my question to you is that being
Pooja, I think there is some network issue.
Yes, sir. There is.
Priyanka, your network is weak, so we are not able to listen to your questions. So I'm asking Pooja to ask the question on your behalf, but I was able to listen to the first sentence that you are my fan, and I'm very much thankful to you for that. Now I'm taking your question from Pooja, okay? Yes, Pooja,
Yes.
What's the question?
So if a woman... So it says that if a woman who has financial burden and societal burdens for marriage, and she is very desperate to become an IAS officer, can she handle her UPSC preparation along with it, or she shall give up? or she's also a big fan of yours, it's mentioned here?
Priyanka, try to convince your parents not to marry you, because ultimately it is you who has to marry, not your parents who are going to marry. You have to marry, so the decision should be yours. The time should be chosen by you. Don't fight. Try to convince, like Dil Wale Dulhania Le Jayenge model. Parents should be convinced. They should not be fought with, at least initially. And if there is no other option, then do little rebellions in the home. Emotional revolts, actually. I will not eat food unless you give me 1 year to prepare. I will not do this. Like, I mean, the emotional revolts do pay a lot, especially when done by the girl in front of the father, not in front of the mother. So choose carefully in front of whom you have to do such revolts. Anyway, that was a joke. I think you can handle such pressure, and you can also realize your dream of being an IFS officer. But again, you need at least 1 to 1.5 years to pursue that seriously. But if you do that, IFS is a very good career, and you will enjoy a lot when you will be speaking as the representative of India in front of the representatives of other countries. It gives a very good feeling, very good confidence that you are the India in front of others. So I wish you all the best. Talk to your parents politely and convince them, persuade them. And all the parents are ultimately very good people. They are generally having insecurities about the children. And that is why sometimes they take decisions which the children feel are not in their favor. But a good dialogue means the conversation. A good dialogue can generally solve all the disputes, all the issues. I believe in this philosophy. So my best wishes to you for having a good conversation with your parents and pursuing the dream of being an IFS officer. Okay.
So the next question is from the section of people who are working professionals, and we also had someone from Indian Armed Forces who wrote that he especially has very limited time to study. So for people who are in such professions and otherwise working also, how should they manage their time?
People working in the armed forces, definitely they have a very tough schedule, but I know at least 2-3 persons who were from the same background and who cracked the civil services. And they have to do a lot of hard work, but they are also habitual of doing hard work because in their profession, that is the way of life. In armed forces, the other thing is they also get some relaxation of being the ex-servicemen people. So they get some extra years to prepare if they have done the sufficient years of job, which make them entitled to get the reservation of being ex-serviceman. So I think for people who are having less time because they're working professional, they should focus on the online medium. And nowadays, if you have 4 hours a day, you can get into that, because I have a strong feeling that the working professionals are more easily able to crack this exam with even the half time of their counterparts. I'm saying this because of 2-3 factors. First of all, since they have less time, they know the value of time and they get the maximum benefit from every second they have. Secondly, because they are working and they are facing a lot of situations, they have more maturity towards life, towards everything, which makes their answers better in the mains, which makes their responses better in the interview. Even their selection of the right answers in the prelims is better than the people who are only studying for this exam. So I think a working professional, if he or she is able to put around 4 to 5 hours a day, that is almost equal to 8 to 10 hours of a person who is only studying. And in the final outcome, I see the proportion of the successful candidates is better for the working professionals in comparison to the non-working people. So don't get discouraged. You have less time, but make the maximum of this time. And I believe you can do it, definitely. I don't have any longer answer for this question because ultimately this is a hard journey and this is a fact. Online sources will help you, definitely. So try on that. Yes, next question.
Due to time constraints, we have downsized the number of questions, and this is the second last question.
Okay.
And this question is from Abhishek Das. He's with us, and he's from Meghalaya. He wishes to talk to you about the regional divide when it comes to selection in this exam. Abhishek, please ask your question.
Abhishek, your mic is off, so you need to switch it on. Right. Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm from Meghalaya, Shillong.
You're from Meghalaya? Great.
Yeah, right, sir. Right, sir. So firstly, I want to thank Drishti IAS for giving us the opportunity to be in the digital presence of you and get our queries solved, sir. Thank you for that. So my question is regarding a notion that's being created in most students' minds, particularly students who reside in northeastern region. So we have developed a belief that going by the past UPSC results, that mostly students who get into the IAS, they write their mains exam from Delhi, although they may reside in any other states. So what is your view on this? So is it there is no question on the transparency of UPSC, but do you suggest that there is an advantageous position when it comes to answer writing from Delhi or outside of Northeast?
So okay, you are focused about the choice of the center for the main examination, right? So Delhi people are selected more. That is because UPSC is in Delhi, and that is why, because all the coaching institutes are in Delhi. So many serious candidates come to Delhi. They opt for the Delhi center because they are in Delhi. And because the serious people, most of the serious people had been preparing in Delhi, they chose Delhi center. And the result of Delhi center came better, not because the center was in Delhi, but because the better candidates were in Delhi. So this is it. But again, it doesn't make much sense to opt Delhi center just because it gives more results. Some statistics are very misleading. In UPSC, there was a question 10 years back. It has been proved that 99% of the people who die, they die while they are lying on the bed. So lying on the bed is very risky. This was the judgment or the conclusion. Do you agree with the conclusion?
Yes.
You cannot. Yes. Because most of the people who are dying, they were not medically fit, and they were lying on the bed because they were not medically fit, and that is what they were going to die. So people are selected from Delhi center because serious contenders live in Delhi generally. They come to Delhi from other places and they take the exam from here. In UPSC, there is a reverse trend. Some people choose the center of remote places. Maybe they will choose Shimla. Sometimes they will choose Northeastern Center, maybe Cuttack. I know many such people who chose the remote centers just because they wanted to have good marks, to attain good marks. Because in Delhi, everyone is writing so good that your copy becomes an average copy when it is among them. But when your answer sheet is in Cuttack or in Meghalaya, maybe in Shillong, maybe the same level of answer sheet can be the best answer sheet that can be taken as the excellent answer sheet. So this is a trend. But again, sometimes because all the copies are very average in some centers, even the very good answer sheets are not taken very seriously there. So this is again a risk. In my opinion, we should choose a center as per our comfort, as per our accessibility. we should not go on the rumors that Delhi Center gets any extra benefits. In my opinion, the chances of Delhi Center getting anything extra, if that is there, it is not the benefit, rather it is the loss, because your copy is among the hundreds of very good answer sheets that your answer sheet doesn't reflect to be something excellent. So don't worry at all for this.
Right.
Choose a center which is easy for you.
Right.
Fine.
Thank you so much, sir.
Right.
Thank you.
Sir, this is the last question for the session today, and we apologize to the audience that we will be taking up the remaining questions in the upcoming webinar. So this is a question, sir, from a citizen of Nepal. We tried to bring him online today, but unfortunately couldn't. So his question is that he is a citizen of Nepal. His name is Aditya Singh. He's currently studying in the Hindu College, Delhi University. And he wants to know if he is eligible for taking the UPSC exam, and does it require him renouncing his Nepali citizenship to attempt the exam?
No. The citizens of Nepal are entitled for this examination. They can give this exam while being the citizens of Nepal, but they are not entitled to get into IAS, IPS, or IFS. So for Group A services, Group B services, they are entitled. And even if he wishes to renounce his citizenship of Nepal and getting the citizenship of India, it won't work, because getting the citizenship of India, if he has his parents or grandparents from India or the spouse from India, then it will take 7 years. And if he doesn't have anyone from India in his family, then it will take 14 years. So I don't think spending 7 or 14 years just for getting the citizenship in order to get into civil services will work. So better he should think of for the Group A services, not for the IAS and IPS. So are we done with today's questions?
Yes, sir. So we are done, and thank you so much for taking out time and doing this for our audience, and also to our audience for being so patient for more than a 2.5 hour session. And Pooja, if you can say a few words.
Thank you so much, sir, for the deep insights you have shared. And I would also like to thank ma'am for facilitating this going of this entire session. Thank you so much.
So my thanks to both of you for so beautifully anchoring this program. My thanks to all the invisible people who have been working behind the curtain to make this program successful. And my third and the final thank to all the participants who came here, listened so peacefully, and I hope I have been able to do justice with your questions. They will come up with more webinars if that helps you. Please write in your comments on the YouTube whether you feel that you have gained something with this webinar. If you have some more questions, write on the comments. We'll in the next webinars, we will try to have all the questions together and we'll make it possible. Thanks a lot to all of you once again. And it was very much enlightening for me as well to answer such questions. It was a very good experience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.